Good evening, my friends. Welcome to our digital devotional for April 24th, 2024. It is, I don't what kind of day is today? It's the day that winter won't quit, and so I suffer along with the rest of you sinus havers. Uh, my wife even said that she came across something from a year ago, like exactly this time a year ago, and I was complaining about my throat hurting on this side and whatever that was, and I'm having that same problem. So maybe that's like a new always going to be the case thing. So that's fine. Today was the last day for me to have my senior high school kids, my seniors in high school, in their Bible class. That was the end of their time. The next time I'm there on Friday, it's like what we would have called field day back in my time. And so they're all done. And this coming Sunday, that's one of the things I want to make sure you're aware of is that this coming Sunday we get to honor those of our congregation who are graduating. We have, I don't know why this is so hard for my mind to wrap itself around. We have 4 high school graduates and we have 2 community college graduates. And so we want to celebrate with them. I've got a gift from their church to commemorate this moment. And it's a really big deal. I'm very thankful and happy for them. And so I encourage you to be there just to support them and to speak some positive into them. They're going into that next phase, that, what's next. You get that graduation moment. It's a lot of ceremony. It's a lot of robe wearing and funny caps that you never wear again for the rest of your life sometimes. And so what comes next? There's a lot of what ifs in their minds and a lot of things to move on towards. And so we just want to encourage them so we have a chance to recognize them, and then a reception afterwards that all of us are invited to as well. So I just hope you can be here and be a part of that. Of course, I hope you're here every Sunday, but this one, a special event for us. And then the next Sunday, another special event. During our worship service, we're going to have our Awana kids, our Bible memory after school kids, as many as will be there, come and celebrate together the completion of an entire school year. And I don't want to over toot a horn, but it needs to be tooted, for lack of a better way to put that. These kids have done an amazing job, because it isn't just memorize this verse and move on. It's memorize and then add to, so that, do you still have that first one memorized? And then we add a third one. Do you still have those first 2 memorized as well? They haven't quit. They have done a great job. And even the ones who are like, memorization isn't my thing, they have done way better than I think they even thought they would. So it's just great. Each age group had its own verse level. So big shout out to all the teachers for incorporating that into their lessons as well, because it doesn't just happen by accident. Everybody has to be in agreement and in it together. And so I'm super proud, and we want to celebrate them. We want to let them kind of show that off and be excited about what they've accomplished, learned scripture songs, memorized scriptures, learned lesson. They've even the older sort of middle-aged classes, I guess. Middle-aged, that sounds funny. They've been having Bible trivia. How many books are in the Bible? What did Joseph's brothers say happened to him after they threw him in the pit? And on and on and on. It's just great stuff. And I want to be able to, as a church, tell them how proud we are of them. And so that's going to be the next Sunday, May 5th. And then Wednesday after that is our last after school for the 23-24 school year. And so we're going to have a great big pizza party. We're going to celebrate what they've accomplished again, but have some prizes, some drawings, some pizza, just a great time to say goodbye for now, until God asks us to pick that up again with the next school year, which I guess is in August. I don't want to think about it. So, and then the last thing is we have our shower for Embrace Grace as well. And so all of you who can be are invited. Remember, we love them privately and quietly from afar in our prayer and in the way our church supports them during the time they're in Embrace Grace. But as we finish that, we get to come together with them and celebrate their accomplishment in learning the things that they've learned. And so we have a shower for them at 6 p.m. And if you can be here, man or woman, ladies, I know showers are, I'm the guy who makes the joke first about a shower being a lady thing, but anybody who can be there, I hope you will be, because we just want to love them. And it'll cap off a day of celebrating them as women and as mothers, but then just hoping that God will continue to knit together a relationship, even in a way that we wouldn't plan for or imagine, that they would know there is a creator in heaven who loves them and who has desires for them, and that they don't have to run from that. They can receive that fully. So a lot of different things going on. As always, if you're local here and part of East Louisville, always grab a calendar, because I am worse and worse as this graduation thing's coming to an end. My brain is like, look, I'm done. I'm done trying to remember what day you do this, what day do you have that practice for graduation, what day do you have to sing for some graduate, what day do you have this banquet, what day. I'm done. If my wife doesn't tell me, I just go lay down. But if she says, then I get ready, because we got to go. I want to share something with you, though, and I want to make a confession as I do it. And that confession is that I've said on here before that I've been obsessed in the past, and my wife, if she ever came across this very thing, would say, haha, in the past, you were talking about this just the other day. And she's right. I want metrics. I want to know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I want to know that I'm doing well. I want to know that I'm doing right by the God who put me in the position I hold at this church, but also that the people I shepherd according to God's instruction, that they see the same thing. But how do I judge that? How do I know that? How do we measure any of this? And so, unfortunately, a lot of the metrics that a pastor is tempted to go by, well, they're all things that are independent or non-dependent on him. Now, I don't use Bible study as a metric, because that's just an all the time sort of part of my life. I'm reading something, or reading directly the Bible, or pondering something, or writing out something. That's kind of a regular all the time thing. I don't use metrics. I use other metrics, like how many people attend. Well, I can't force people to come, so that's not really dependent on me exactly. How many people put their faith in Jesus? Well, I can't save people. That's God's business, and on and on and on. And so, why am I saying all that? Because maybe right now I'm just speaking into the void. Maybe it's just me and this camera, and maybe that's it. But I was kind of thinking today, I wanted to be able to be on record confessing that I recognize God giving us an instruction that I think I'm living in the time period where you see the result of ignoring that instruction. And oddly enough, I've said before that, I can see when a Bible verse has been referenced before, because I keep all of those pictures that come up behind me and stuff. And so this one is in there 3 times. Like, counting right now, it's in there 3 times. I've done it 2 other times. And so I looked at the dates that I added those pictures: September 2020, May 2022, and now almost May, late April 2024. So apparently every 2 years I come back to this. The reason I want to bring any of this up, and even if I'm just saying it to me, is because I find it hard to stomach the time period that I find myself in, where people are protesting on college campuses and calling for the death of other people. But that doesn't seem to be making the kind of stir that you and I could make if we refused to use someone's chosen pronouns. So I'm old enough to remember that I was told I'm causing violence and purposefully harming someone if I say, because you were born with certain, if you're born a man, that makes you a man, regardless of what medically or surgically you do to yourself. Well, that's violence. That's harm. That's dangerous. You can't say that. That's tearing down the fabric of American society. I remember being told that. I remember the media was trying to explain that to me, and yet you can go on a college campus and make someone feel so unsafe that now the whole college is having virtual classes for the rest of the semester, or hybrid classes. You can't even go to class because people are on the main court of your college campus calling for the death of your entire race. And that's not violence? That's not what? It's a little bit of a confusion for me, or we're telling people defending themselves from terrorists, and war is bad. War is filled with error. War is filled with death. And so I don't like war in any sense, but if it becomes necessary, we're telling people to do something that we would never ourselves do, or we're shaming people for doing something that we ourselves have done but didn't get shamed for doing. It's a really weird time. It's really a strange time. And where my heart leans is the fact that children and young people are being consumed by all of this, because it's complicated enough to think of as an adult, much less to try to think of it as a young person. Your brain isn't even fully developed. How do you process all of this? And so the more I'm watching and reading, and it's the same stuff that you're exposed to as well, I'm reminded of what Isaiah wrote. And so this is the third time that I brought this up, but instead I just want to put this there as a reference, because what I'd like to do is read a part of Proverb 24, but I couldn't find one of these, and it's a lot of verses. So, woe to those who call evil good and good evil. And then we could say again, because it's kind of a repeated rhetoric, woe to those who put darkness for light and light for darkness. Woe to those who put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Woe to those who are wise in their own eyes and clever in their own sight. What a shame for people like this. But even more shame comes when you realize the church is filled with people like this. The church is filled with people who are trying to stay somehow relevant by becoming comfortable calling evil good, or becoming comfortable making an excuse for things that don't deserve excuse, don't even have excuse. You know, the Bible actually tells us we're called to speak up. We could go on to a long discourse about what it means to use God's name in vain, or to do things in the name of Jesus, and there's something to be said about that. But I encourage you to consider for a moment that in Acts chapter 4, when Peter and John had healed a man. Now, this is a rusty mind, but I think the guy had been lame for 40 years, like he's a 40-ish year old guy. And so everybody knows that it's happened. It's not like, I don't know, maybe he was crippled, maybe he wasn't. Everybody knows this is the crippled guy. Like every small town has a homeless person, or a person who, in the small towns I've lived in, there's always seems to be somebody who was mega intelligent in high school, but unfortunately got into drugs, and now they kind of wander around kind of in a stupor. I don't know. Cleveland had one. Louisville had one. I don't know. But, you know, it's not like I don't really know the backstory here. I'm not sure. No, everybody knows that crippled guy. Peter and John, they did that. I saw it happen, or I heard about it. Then I saw the guy, and it's undeniable. He's not crippled anymore. Well, the Sanhedrin didn't say stop healing people. The Sanhedrin didn't say stop doing miracle work. The Sanhedrin said stop saying that name. What is the gospel without Jesus? What are those miraculous things without Jesus? And they're empty. They don't. I have to talk about him. I have to speak about him, and I have to speak when what is being done, it goes against him, and that's offensive to people. That troubles the world. But the Bible brings us to a point where we're told we need to consider the shame that's on us when we don't do it anyway. They're going to hate me, but I'm supposed to do it. Now, here's a New American Standard for Proverbs 24, and this is beginning in verse 10. If you are slack in the day of distress. Now, slack, a more modern translation is if you do nothing in a time of trouble. So if you are slack in the day of distress, your strength is limited. Now I have the New English translation, and I won't bore you, but it's great information here, and it led me to reading elsewhere that the way the Hebrew is structured here in this proverb, right there in verse 10 specifically, the language there is no if in here. So it could be translated as present tense, which is still a proverb, a wisdom thing, not necessarily saying you're being slack. Anyway, but listen to this. You have slacked off in the day of trouble. Your strength is small. You didn't do what needed to be done, so you're weak. No, we don't like that. It's offensive. Hey, man, mind your business. Don't tell me what to do. I'd gladly tell those Columbia kids what to do with their opinions and this and that. Really? Would we? Or does it not matter yet because it's really far away? That's in New York, and I live in Mississippi. But what am I excusing, or what am I explaining away, or what am I doing with the life that Jesus redeemed me to? In verse 11 it says, deliver those who are being taken away to death, and hold back those who are slipping to the slaughter. Get in the way of people who are doing wrong in order that they might not do any more wrong. Well, do I do that? Verse 12 gets in my face because it says, if you say, but we didn't know about this. Oh, I didn't know I was supposed to get involved. I didn't know I was supposed to speak out against this. I didn't know I was supposed to live boldly. I didn't know that I wasn't supposed to try to stay relevant by being a little bit gray on things the Bible is black and white. I didn't know. Well, Solomon says, won't the one who evaluates hearts discern it? In other words, doesn't God know already? Doesn't God know that you do know? Doesn't God know that you You know you should, but you're not. He keeps going. Won't the one who guards your life realize and repay each person according to his deeds? Isn't God paying attention? I mean, if someone was saying something false or deflame, or, wait, is that a word? I don't know. My brain just locked up. If somebody's slandering me, I would want my wife to speak up if it was happening right in front of her face. I certainly would. I would definitely want her to do it because she's my wife and she loves me, and let me switch it around. If someone was defaming, that was the word I was trying to think of. If someone's defaming my wife or slandering my wife right in front of me, you better believe I'm about to correct them. I'm about to say, stop, nope, that's a lie. Who are you? Why would you even say that? Let me give you the facts. But God is being hammered in our culture today. I live in a country where there are young people protesting on behalf of a terrorist organization. What happened? They're calling for the death of Now, has Israel made mistakes? Is war disgusting and dirty? And do things happen? Yep. But I was even asked today by a student, well, Dr. Joy, what's your opinion? And my answer, I'm never going to come down on the side that supports a terrorist group. I just can't do that. I can't ignore that these people chanting the things they're chanting. I mean, I get, well, they don't really know. They're just there because they want to be involved in something and so on and so forth. Stop making excuse for evil. Stop. Don't do that. Like Isaiah wrote, woe to you if you do this. You know what's right. Do what's right. You know what's true. Say what's true. Because God, I don't want to be slack. I don't want to be weak. Nobody, I hope I grow up to be weak. No. But where is the strength in the church? Where is the spine in the church? When my dad was a kid in movies, all it took to get a cowboy to handle business was to call him Yellow. Which, I don't even know, what is the origin? I don't know. What? I don't even know what that means exactly, but, what are you, yellow? A chicken? Because eggs are yellow? I don't know. But boy, then things would change then. Well, now we just let God get slammed over and over and over and over in the direction that we have allowed culture to go. Nothing's said, nothing's done. We've been taught incorrectly that it's all about being private. It's all about keeping that stuff in the house. Of course the devil wants me to keep it in the house. Of course he does, because then it has no impact in the world. Because I think I can't act that way in the public. I can't talk that way in the public. I can't do that. I can't be about Jesus like the Sanhedrin tell Peter and John. Just stop saying that. They don't tell them to stop doing it. They just say stop saying it. Stop talking about this gospel. Now, what does Peter tell them in return? You guys are going to have to judge whether what you're telling us to do is right. Now, you guys decide if that's right or not to be obedient to you. But I'm just telling you right now, we will not stop talking about what we have seen. We won't. We can't do it. In chapter 5 of Acts, by the way, because they still won't stop, they have them arrested. They kind of escape jail. God basically just releases them. They get them, and then they beat them. And what happens? I'm out here trying to dodge and juke and duck. I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to run afoul of a certain group or certain letter organization or whatever, just like anybody else. I don't want to be slammed. I don't want to go viral for being hammered for saying something wrong or being ugly or fascist or judgmental or some phobia, something. They just celebrate because they got beat up. They beat those men. They beat those disciples. And when they get back to the house, they have a worship service. They celebrate. We were counted worthy to be beaten for his name. What? I want to be like them. I don't want to be beaten, but I want to be like them. And maybe I'm just talking to myself, but where are we? Where are those people willing to share the things that say this, stand for the things that support this, and recognize that the Bible says, if you're found weak in this, God sees that. God cares that you're being that way. I'll end with a quote by George Orwell. That's the guy who wrote 1984. It's a book everybody says they read, and sometimes you found out, no, maybe they didn't, but changing history, controlling people's thoughts and opinions and speech and all that stuff. George Orwell. He said something that I now realize I can't remember specifically. The longer the world goes without hearing the truth, the more people will hate those who tell it. Something like that. The longer we go where we don't speak the truth, the more people will hate the truth teller. The only way that changes is if we start to push back. That's all I mean. Father, help me be a one who pushbacks. Help me be a one who finds within my own heart the faith that you put there to celebrate if I come across trouble because I was saying and doing the things that you instructed. That's all. All because of the grace that's been poured out on me through Jesus Christ. All because of the purpose and the calling that you have given every redeemed soul on this planet. Let me be one who stands. And let me be surrounded by those who would join me. I ask that in your holy name. Amen. Thank you for being here. Whoever you are and wherever you are, I appreciate you. I love you. I'm glad that I get the chance to spend this time with you. 20 whole minutes. I guess that's a sermon's worth of thought, but I'm glad that you were here. I hope I get to see you the next time, but wherever you go and whatever you do between now and then, I pray you would remember that your job is to pour kindness out on the world, and we might add to that, take a stand for the truth in the world, all because of the kindness that Jesus has poured out on us. I'll see you, everybody. Bye-bye.